Lying on your side, get your head comfortable. I'm using 2 blocks here, which is very comfortable for me. There's plenty of room for the shoulders and the head to stay in line. So cushions, blocks, whatever's good for you, or you could lie on your own arm if that's perfectly comfortable too. So we're going to do the bicycle today, both ways round. So you're starting off with your legs straight and in line. Pull your tummy in. And then bring your bottom leg slightly forward and rest it on the floor. Flex your feet and bring the top leg, which should be about hip height, top leg about hip height. And then bring the top leg forward, bend the knee, bring the leg back, straighten the leg, flex the foot and bring it back. So that full cycle is 1. We can do 5 of those and then we'll do the reverse way. Things to note: if you find it's really awkward for any reason, it might be that this leg angle could be improved. So if you're a little bit too straight, you might find as you try and get your leg forward, you feel as though you're falling forward. So if you bring the bottom leg a little bit further forward, you get the balance you need. You don't have to have this leg straight. If you want to have it slightly bent, that's absolutely fine. As bent as you like, really. What we're aiming for is your body to stay still as you move the leg around. So you're pulling up through the waist, trying to keep the top half still and quite relaxed, and focus on this. Muscles that will be used: you'll use the glutes, the top glute particularly to take that leg behind. You'll use top thigh muscle, outer and front, and of course core. Breathe in to prepare. Take your top leg in line with your body straight and hip height. Bring it slowly forward, then bend the knee, bring the leg behind slowly, straighten the leg, and again. So we're doing 5. And what you might find is that your hip is starting to feel a little bit crampy. So by all means pause, give it a little rub till that crampiness dissipates. There's really no point in continuing until you've got rid of that cramp. It's a build-up of lactic acid. It's a build-up of lack of oxygen basically in the cells. So you really need to keep breathing, allow the acid to dissipate before continuing, because you'll lose control, you'll start to shake. It won't really help anybody, least of all yourself, to continue and cramp at the same time. So the reverse way of doing the bicycle is to straighten the leg out in front, swing it back slowly, then bend the knee, bring it forward, stretch it out. And again, we're doing 5 of these. If 5's too much, go for, 3. There's no There's no rigid laws about that. Number of repetitions. And rest. Give your hip a rub. And because it's quite a complicated little move, recommend that we now go flip over and do the other side before we forget what we're doing, basically. Over on the other side, set up, lift, waist, lower leg position, top leg in line, hip height, core. Move slowly and carefully through the bicycle move, noticing what muscles you're using. Slow, come forward and go back. So the glutes working there. Stretch. So after doing 5, in one direction, give yourself a chance to ease out any lactic acid, a bit of cramp perhaps. Have another go when you feel ready. So last time came forward with a straight leg, so this time we're going to go back with a straight leg. So this should not hurt your back at all. It should be all about stomach muscles and glutes when you take the leg behind, and leg muscles and thigh muscles, but not your back. Hopefully shouldn't be hurting with any of this. And rest. Give it a rub. So next we're going to go onto the back. First of all, I want you to be reminded of how squeezing your thighs together activates the core. One way is to just bring your knees in a little bit. You line your fists up like that, put them between your knees and then squeeze. Hopefully what you can feel is your stomach muscles and your pelvic floor probably are engaging to help you with that contraction. If you're going to do this for any length of time as a method of working your inner thighs and your core, you might want something underneath your feet, which I'm going to use the hog, and I can just about reach inner thighs and keep my feet on. Rather than your fists, squeeze something else in between your knees. So that could be chi ball. So if you squeeze, but you don't have to have one. You can do the same with a block or a cushion. They all have the same effect. When you start squeezing inwards, feel it here. So it's all good. So just to work on that pelvic floor, core and inner thigh, you just do a few, let's do 10. So you just lie there, breathing in, flattening your lower abs, and just do some squeezes. Squeeze. Nice thing about doing it with the ball is that you can see when I'm squeezing, because the ball distorts as I press inwards. So that's handy, isn't it? How many have we done? 5? 6. Sorry, you squeeze in as you breathe out. Relax as you breathe in. 8. 9. 10. So that's lovely. Inner thigh, core, neutral, and then bring your arm round, shoulder down. Allow a little bit of movement of the body, but really we're just trying to stretch the rib cage there. And then back. And then do the other side. Stretch. And stretch. And reach towards the heel. And again with the other side. And stretch. And reach. So then I want to squeeze the legs together. And the feet and the knees and the thighs and ankles to hips and feet all glued together. And then take the whole lower half over to one side. So you've got the hip lift, and it's really quite hard to keep the rib cage on the mat and twist your hip off. So that's why you don't need to go that far. People who take their knees all the way to the floor, you need to just check what the ribs are doing. So it might be that you've gone like that. Obviously, you can get your knees to the floor if you allow this to happen, okay? But the challenge is to take your knees over to the side whilst keeping your ribs grounded. So if you think about that while you're doing it, you will find yourself working quite hard. Also, you're squeezing inwards with your thighs in all the time. If you find that it's difficult to remember to keep doing that, that's where having something between your knees might help. So you could get something quite small and thin. Nevertheless, if I do forget to squeeze, it'll fall down, won't it? So I'll know I've forgotten. So it's useful little trick. You could even use a piece of cardboard, anything. So you take it over to the side. So those of you who are very competent at this, you know what you're doing, ribs grounded, waist is twisting, hips coming off nicely. You want to work a little bit harder, but obviously you don't want to compromise on the rib cage coming off. So what you can do is straighten the top leg to the middle, bring it down. Over to the other side. Once on the side, straighten the top leg. Still gluing your knees together. Back to the middle and down. And then there's the really advanced versions where your legs are off. You go over straighten, down, over. Just keep an eye on this all the time. Avoid arching. Avoid arching. So it's like almost like a figure of 8. Once you start to do extensions, you're almost making a figure of 8 in the air with this movement. Over, stretch. Okay. Breathe. And as an antidote to all that inner thigh work, let the knees drop out. Breathe. You could just let it rock and roll from side to side. Bring the legs together.